again, I think this documentary is made by the death cult of atheism. People wanting to romanticize and say that, oh, it's so easy. Euthanasia is such an easy issue because humans equal shit.
The flightness attends me, but I can't wait to see the doctor. Stop ready. Take oil and leak. Follow the road. The flightness attends me, but I can't wait to see the doctor.
Hello, this is NDS83, and today we're going to talk about a serious subject matter: euthanasia, assisted suicide, suicide and atheism. Basically, we're going to talk about it through the documentary, quote-unquote documentary, I Have a Mental Illness, Let Me Die, BBC Stories segment, where a guy called Adam Mayer Clayton has a mental condition which caused his body to feel severe physical pain. He fought for those with mental illness to have the right to die in Canada, and then he killed himself in April 2017. So this video was then made 2 months later. We're gonna watch this video and talk about the different issues in it. The thing is that we are in a cultural change. It's been going on for 20 years. People talk about cultural Marxism. Other people talk about social justice warriors, and there are a lot of different terminologies for this. I would say at the core of all of these things, transhumanism being a third one. I talked about it in an earlier video where I talked about transsexuality. Transsexuality being the most common type of transhumanism. But the point is that we are moving into a new time in our Western culture, which I would say is cultural decay. We are becoming really perverted in our mindset. And one of those, and I would say at the core of transsexuality, transhumanism, cultural Marxism, social justice warrioring, and all those other sick things, I think it's safe to say that 6 things are atheism. Now, I know a lot of atheists would say, I'm not a social justice warrior, I don't think transsexuality should be treated this way, blah, 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 blah. Fine. I'm talking about atheism being the root of this evil, and then all these other things we're talking about is fruits of this evil. And when we watch this video with Adam Mayer Clayton, it's pretty clear that he wants to show to the world that he's an atheist as well. We could start by mentioning an article or a scientific paper which I constantly use in my debates online, which says that suicide is more prevalent, is higher among atheists than other religious views. And yes, I will say atheism is a religion. We can debate it, blah blah blah. It is at least a life view, and it shapes your moral and mental choices. Whether or not it's a religion, fine, that's a digression. The point is, it's a life view, it's a philosophy, and it does create its own morals and its own world views. And one of those world views are the law of death. They are a death cult for all intention and purposes. And now we see a mentally disturbed person on BBC. I would probably guess that everybody involved in this documentary are atheists as well, fighting for the right to die. First off, nobody is stopping him as far as I know. If a person wants to kill themselves, there's no problem. And and he also, quote unquote, succeeded in his attempt to kill himself. He killed himself in April, as I already mentioned. But he wants a culture which accepts it. That was his fight until the end. The right to die by his own wishes, and having other people having to contribute to that death. And then you see his family saying, oh, we wanted to be a part of his death transition, if you like. How sad that he had to die alone. And people commenting below says, oh, how brave he was, because he decided to take the quote-unquote difficult choice of killing himself, which many other people would say is the easy way out, not the difficult one. I understand that killing yourself can actually be a difficult task. I don't know the ratio between I don't know if I want to use the word succeeded, but at least I don't know the ratio between people actually killing themselves and people who just tried. I don't know how much attempts are done before or instead of succeeding. I hate that word when we talk about suicide, but you understand what I'm saying. But it is difficult. I don't dispute that. Killing yourself, though, is not a very proper way of dealing with your life problems, be them physical, mental, or social. We need to say that. We need to have a culture that accepts that. That if you want to die for whatever reason and you plan on killing yourself, that is wrong. And we can't make a culture where we not only say, okay, he wants to die, let him, but also say he should be helped in his project, which is this documentary. So let's start watching it.
My son deserved to die with dignity, with his family and his friends beside him.
Dad, he says, I've run out of time. You'll get up one morning, I'll be gone.
Okay, so in Canada now they have accepted euthanasia or assisted suicide. I'm actually against that too. I have been working, I live in Norway. I'm not completely sure about the laws here, but I've been working in the medical health profession, not a lot, but a little bit. I know how we deal with terminal patients. We have something in Norway called pain prevention, where we actually try to help people's pain. And if that pain is high, we will of course give the medical treatment to adjust to the pain. And at some point the pain will be so much that your pain prevention therapy will kill them. But that is not the point of the treatment, but it is the effect of the treatment. And that is what many people think, is that we shouldn't have a medical treatment that says my intention is to kill you. A medical professional usually think helping, giving hope, and dignity. Now they use the word dignity here, and I understand that. Anyway, so I'm against assisted suicide, which means basically that the medical health professionals, either by actively taking part, by actually giving the final shot, or indirectly by giving the person who wants to die the medicine to kill themselves, the cyanide pill, if you like. We don't give cyanide pills, I understand that, but either way, you're basically just putting everything ready for the other person to kill himself. I see it. I think the worst of them would be the doctor being forced, or perhaps he's sick enough in his mind to actually want to. Executioner fetish, that he actually kind of gets a hard on by killing his patients. I don't know. But that would be worse than actually just giving the person a shot, or so he actually have to do it himself. But both of them I see as a cultural problem, because we're saying that a life's worth is about how much pleasure that person will experience. So when you are like 40 years old, you probably should die, because now you're not as attractive as you once were. You probably can't run up that stair as fast as you could. You know, life is slightly more, I hope, than pain and pleasure. Getting the most amount of pleasure in your life. Hopefully it is more complex than that. Now that this is like my theistic philosophies here, and as I said, this is all about atheism. And when we see this guy who wants to die, it's clear that he is an atheist, and he thinks it's very important to show the world how atheist he is. So it would be, I think it is important to underline that this has to do with atheism. I don't see a lot of Christians fighting for it, or Muslims, or Jews, or Buddhists, or Hindus. This is an atheist death cult mentality, that death should be to whoever wants to die, and the point of living is pleasure, and if you don't have enough pleasure, then you should die. A hedonistic, if you like, moral code. Now let's continue.
He was a happy little child and a bundle of energy.
Every Friday night we would take him to Boston Pizza, and he wanted to run around and talk to people. You know Adam, he's a very social guy. And so he'd go up to the booth like this and just plunk himself down and say, "Hello, I'm Adam."
So I just have to question, like, what was the point of this? Is to humanize him, but paradoxically also dehumanizing the entire world. Because I see this as a dehumanizing thing, but they first appeal to emotion. You know, you're supposed to feel he's human and he's suffering, and if you pay attention to the video, you'll see that there's a lot of sad music in the background. This is not a coincidence. It's not something they randomly added to the track. They want you to feel sad for Adam. You want him to feel like he's a human, and they will often say he wanted to live, but he wanted to die. They don't see it as a double think type thing. It's okay to both want to live and both want to die. Either you want to live or you want to die. There's not something in between here, if you ask me. I get that they're trying to say that if he wasn't sick, he would want to live. But at that moment when he tried to kill himself, I'm pretty sure he wanted to die. Okay, fine. Point is, they use a lot of sad music, and then now in this part we want to like get to know him and understand that he was a human being, right? And then we're gonna see his pain, and it's gonna be sad music. Oh, how he was suffering, and then yeah, let's just continue.
He got into soccer, and he started having particular problems there with urges to do things that was distracting for him from his game. A need to flick his hands like that, his fingers, and what he would do, he would tape them up for the game so he couldn't do that.
He was a very buff dude. You would have no idea there was like...
So here we see that, I think this is like the first time we see, oh, he's an atheist. But this, as you will notice, he wears t-shirts, he wears He has a jewelry piece that says in atheist. To him, atheism was a very important part of his life. And obviously, or perhaps not obviously, but arguably, we could say that that probably was one of the reasons why he felt that his life purpose was to fight for other people to die. His life purpose was death.
Anything wrong with him at all. There's oftentimes not a physical representation of it.
There we see the atheist jewelry again. And I have to say that he has what I call the atheist smile. The smug, patronizing, not really a smile. I'm sorry if I seem like I hate him. I don't hate him, I hate what he represents. And atheists usually have this smug smile. I can't explain it, but they surely love to have this I am filled with hubris, let's say that. Filled with hubris.
So when you tell somebody, like, I've got a lot of anxiety today, I can't right now, or like, you gotta leave me alone right now, I feel like a lot of people are just like, ugh, can you just get over it?
This woman also appears plenty of times, and it's fascinating to me how trivial she's like, it's like, why are you there? You're a friend of him, okay? But you seem so suave, is that the word? You seem so desensitized to it. Like, at this point in the video, I didn't read the comment section below. I actually thought he still lived. That's what I thought. They talked about him in such a casual way, and it seems like he's been like dead for 2 months. And they seem to talk about it like with so disinterest and almost like happy way. And again, I think this has to do with atheist love of death. Yeah. It's a complicated thing. They don't believe in an afterlife, but they sure love death. So I looked up this diagnosis, somatic symptom disorder. I've never heard of it, but it seems to be like, to be honest, with just a fancy word for a hypochondriac. Perhaps a little bit worse than a hypochondriac, where he actually at least says he feels the pain. It's kind of difficult to say that he doesn't feel the pain. But at least it's pretty clear from a medical science point of view that the pain is in his head, and it's stated in this documentary too that his pain is in his head. It's not based on any real pain. It's based on imagined pain. So it's kind of like a lot of things that has to do with mental issues. It's unclear how much is real and how much is imagined and how much is something you could help with. In fact, I think it's sometimes more difficult to treat mental illness than it is to treat a broken leg, because a broken leg is very clear and physical, whereas something in your head is something in your head, and it becomes kind of like a cultural and philosophical issue. At what point should we take a stand against it? And I think I said it before in an earlier video. It's like we usually go for 3 things: how deviant is it, how destructive is it, how disturbing is it. That is how we look at it. And wanting to kill yourself, I think it's one of the disturbing and destructive things. But having pain in your body is not. I think it's a problem to the patient, and we need to understand that. But yeah, it is a complicated issue, and I'm not very familiar with somatic symptom disorder, and there's a lot of illnesses that where the question is how much of it is in your head. Like we have EM, chronic fatigue syndrome. How much of that is mental and how much of that is physical? Because it's very difficult to find it's very difficult to find where in the body this problem lies, because it's all over the body, and it's often just the person's perception of being tired more than you can actually measure how tired the body is, if that makes any sense. So there are issues like that in medical science where it's a very gray area, and I'm pretty sure somatic symptom disorder is something that they debate right now. How much of it is real, how much of it is imagined, and how much of it could actually be fake. Like so many other things, like fantastic ideas in your head, they are fake. We know they are fake. So if I say I have a pain in my body, does it automatically become true, right? So, okay, I'm being very philosophical here. Let's move on.
The brain is creating pain for no reason because it's occurring within the brain.
Okay, so here you see it again. He has the atheist jewelry and he has a new type of atheist t-shirt. And this is from his vlog. I haven't seen his vlog. I don't really care. There are plenty of these people on YouTube if you want to watch them. People who will say, I want to die, respect my choice to want to die. And mostly the people on there will say, oh, you're so brave for fighting for your right to die. I would say if you want to die, talk to a psychiatrist, talk to your family, don't talk to the internet. The internet are not your friends. I would argue that perhaps your friends and family, Adam, wasn't all that friends and family, because how they talk about this is so theoretical, if you like, so strange, so cold, but fine. There's no anger, there's no sorrow, there's nothing. His mother cries at some point, but all the other people seem to smile most of the time and think of how wonderful he was while he lived. How wonderful can a person be if 2 months after you're dead, you talk about it like it was 20 years ago? But I digress.
It's therefore a mental disorder. It's not your typical mental disorder like bipolar disorder or psychosis, schizophrenia, etc. It's just this manifestation of physical pain that is being caused by my brain.
Well, it does seem like he's suffering from some real mental disorders as well. And again, it's complicated, right? It's complicated. Yeah.
Brain. If I'm sitting here silently, although I would be mind-numbingly bored, my pain would probably be at a lower level, if not one of the lowest levels that I'm going to experience throughout that day. If I had pulled out this book and started reading, within, I would say 5 minutes, the pain in my head would be so aggressive, I would A, have to stop reading, and B, have to go and do deep breaths somewhere.
It's like my whole body is being burned from the inside by acid. He says it's behind my eyes, it's in my forehead, it's through my head, my neck, my chest, okay, all down my back. And it's agonizing pain. It's like I'm being burned alive.
Okay, but here he declares to the world what he is suffering from. Diagnosis, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, okay. GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. MDD, major depressive disorder, and then somatic symptom disorder, which doesn't seem to have an inebriation for some reason. And then he writes, a marijuana-induced panic attack resulted in me acquiring depersonalization disorder on December 2nd, 2012. Okay. This is also rather interesting, because he's not the first person I know or heard of that actually suffer from this. And yet people say marijuana is okay, right? I have not heard a single person getting insane by coffee, alcohol, or cigarettes. Okay, fine, whatever. First clinical diagnosis occurred at age 16. I've heard that it's wise to not diagnose people before the age of 18. Something to do with brain development and stuff like that. But okay, what do I know? Therapy is undergone. Traditional psychotherapy, yes. Cognitive behavioral therapy, yes. Exposure and response prevention therapy, I don't know what that is. acceptance and commitment therapy, okay, mindfulness meditation. The last one I know a little bit about. It's a little bit more new age, but fine. Whatever works. That is the thing in psychology. It's like, it's not a hard science, and at the end you just have to be pragmatic. If you feel mindfulness helping you, then you go right ahead. It's very complex. The mind is very complex.
Adam didn't believe that he was going to get better, and he could give you, and you could look on his Facebook wall, the list of treatments and medications that he's tried over the years.
You notice how she scuffled, or I think it's called scuffled, or
On his Facebook wall. On his Facebook wall.
It's fun. According to the fucking video I read, he died in April 2017. How can you scuffle at this point? It's too goddamn early.
On his Facebook wall, tried it, and they failed him.
He knew that there was no cure.
He knew there was no cure. That means that he's already decided the outcome beforehand. And when it comes to placebo, for example, you actually have to believe that it's going to work for it to work. And if the pain is mental, then actually placebo is probably what it would work the best. So he actually, what I would have suggested to him and his father and his mother is to actually convert to Christianity and believe in healing or something. Then that may have saved him. But no, it's more important for him to dedicate his fucking life to for a society to help him kill himself, than actually to get down on his knees and start praying. Get down on his knees and start pleasing Jesus.
That modern science, modern medicine isn't there yet. And so, you know, when you're somebody who's highly intellectual and great ambitions and you've experienced modicums of significant success already, you want to...
So he's experienced a lot of success, and that success was that he's become famous for fighting for the right to die. I'm sorry, isn't the word infamous then? I think it's infamous.
Return to that. When you know you're not going to get it, then where do you go? We came to realize that every time we had a conversation with him, it might be our last.
Yes, that must be very, very nice for his parents.
A Windsor man is challenging Canada's assist.
When C4 was passed, excluding mental illness, Adam used his vlog to campaign. Yes. He should probably have spent more time trying to get better, you know. I think that is a problem in itself right there. When you are in pain, mental pain, and you're more concerned about fighting for your right to kill yourself, but that for some reason is very important that the doctor takes part of, when you obviously could do it on your own. As spoiler alert, that is the end of his life. He actually kills himself, so he obviously couldn't do it on his own. But his parents couldn't be in his room with him. His laughing, maniacally laughing friend couldn't be in his room. That was the problem.
Assisted dying law. It came into effect last summer, but does not extend to people with mental illness. Now, Adam Meyer-Clayton insists that has to change.
C14 doesn't include people like me. It doesn't include a lot of very, very sick people. The legislation literally forces people to kill themselves in an undignified manner.
Undignified manner. Kill himself in undignified manner. When can a suicide become dignified? It doesn't work like that. All death is sad, and when you kill yourself for whatever reason, it is not dignified. Okay? Even if it's all justified as hell. The worst kind of painful, miserable existence. When you kill yourself, it is a sad event, and it's nothing you can't, it's not dignified. It's sad and pathetic.
Alone without their family beside them, it doesn't make sense.
He was working for a change in C14.
Again, atheist. Oh, it's so important for him. You know, I'm a Christian. You know how many t-shirts I have quoting scripture? None. You know how many crosses I have on my t-shirts? None. I don't even have a bleeping crucifix.
He was working for increased awareness of what somatoform pain is. He said, Dad, all this activism is not for me, I'll be dead. He says, I'm doing this for others, not me.
He died for our right to die. How? He's my hero!
The issues around mental illness are fairly new, but at the same time, we are fundamentally talking about, how can we not discriminate against groups of people who just happen to have certain types of diagnosis? How can we not further stigmatize them, or worse, infantilize them by telling them that their illnesses aren't as severe or as real as somebody with physical conditions?
I don't know if this woman has heard of the Pandora's box, but what she's basically talking about is what's inside of it. When you accept that some people has the right to die because of X, Y, Z, then you actually have opened the box and in there lies, but why can't I die? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? That is the Pandora's box. When you open it, inside there lies everybody has the right to kill themselves if they have a splinter in their finger, a headache, their girlfriend left them, blah, 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 blah. That is the problem. Is that perhaps we instead should try to say, to add an atheist philosopher called Nietzsche, and he talked about amor fati. In love with your destiny. That means that you need to accept whatever it is that you are suffering through and try to grow on it for whatever reason. I know it's hard. I'm not a person completely... I don't want to be personal on this vlog, but I have experienced certain things in my life as well. My life has not been perfect, okay? So I'm not unfamiliar with the state of mind. I'm not unfamiliar with this. But if I lived in a culture where people said you should kill yourself if you have a little bit of a sadness in you, if you feel like it's pointless, if you feel like you can't deal anymore with whatever, then you should have the right to kill yourself. That is the problem here. It's not that he wants to die. That is fine and dandy. Or it's sad, but it's fine and dandy. Individuals have different needs and wants. But the problem here is when people start advocating and campaigning for a general cultural awareness that people should be able to kill themselves for whatever reason. That is the problem. The cultural aspect of it, not his individual experience. And notice again how every time you see his face, it's always sad music. You're supposed to feel that he is a sad person, how good it is that he finally croaked.
I understand suicide is bad.
I bet you do.
I'm not saying it's a good thing.
I bet you don't.
I'm not saying life sucks, you're screwed, yada yada, let's all jump off bridges.
I think that is what you're saying.
Anyone who knows me knows I advocate treatment. I'm still going, even though I'm incredibly screwed up.
Yes. That should be the period. That should be the period right there. You're going through treatment and life is screwed up. Moving on. Let's try again. If your first time don't succeed, try again.
I'm like quivering from the pain, man. Jeez Louise.
No one wants to lose a friend, absolutely. But just seeing the pain that he was in, to be like, don't do this, it would be selfish on my part.
Oh, god damn it, what a horrible woman. She's pretty though, but god damn it. I'm glad. I hope to God that if I kill myself tomorrow, that people will not talk about me in this manner.
And it wouldn't be right for me to be like, no, you have to stay because I can't handle you leaving. Thanks. Like, that's just the ultimate form of selfishness.
The selfishness is to not seem to care at all. No, the ultimate part of selfishness is not actually bringing in the reality of things here.
Dad, would you want to live the way you've seen me living over the past year or so?
No, I wouldn't.
So if you were in my shoes,
Okay, we are here now. His father saying you should kill yourself. It's okay, I understand. And the thing is, he's asking questions like, you see how painful my life is. You wouldn't want to be like that, would you? And he says no. But the fact is that the father doesn't really know what the son is experiencing, is he? He doesn't know the amount of pain that he is experiencing. He only observes the other person and how he emotes and shows how his pain. If I walked around every day for years and years pretending I had pain, then people would probably think I have pain, right? I'm not saying he's faking it. I'm saying that when you ask someone, if you walked in my shoes, would you kill yourself? That is very, very difficult thing to answer because you don't actually know what the other person is experiencing.
can you honestly say, do you think if you were in my shoes, you would be pursuing the right to die, or at the very minimum think, hey, this is something I deserve?
Yes.
Okay, so we're in agreement that if the roles were reversed here and I was holding the camera and you were sick, that you would not want to live if this were your destiny.
Correct.
It feels like a straw man, a constructed argument. And again, I don't think this is a mentally healthy family at all.
Okay, so we have that clear, and this is my father speaking.
Yes, but your father doesn't seem to care.
Nothing's working, nothing's working. I know I can't die. I'm thinking of suicide, etc., etc., etc. And then, that's how the story goes. People kill themselves. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades.
People kill themselves for centuries, centuries, and centuries, Adam. Millennia. People have always chosen to kill themselves. This is not a new phenomena, okay? People have done this since life began. But for some strange reason, I think mostly humans do it. I'm not sure, but I don't think there's a lot of suicide in the animal kingdom. I'm not sure, but I think some animals give up on life, yes, but I don't think they jump in the ocean. I don't think they deliberately kill themselves. But there are exceptions like the lemming. I think the lemming does it, but I don't think they are aware of what they're doing. They're not actually saying, I'm going to kill myself. I just don't think they know what the hell they're doing or something. Kind of like a bird flying to the window. He doesn't want to kill himself. He actually thinks there is no window, Again, this is a little bit of a digression, but the point is people have always tried to kill themselves. This is not a new phenomena. Don't say decades, say millennia.
Think about the situation. If they can't get better and their life is hell, why would they not commit suicide?
Because it's selfish. Because there's always hope. At least if you're Christian or theistic or some kind of has some kind of transcendental belief. You believe there's a purpose for things. So that there's a lesson to be learned. There's a point to living beyond pain and pleasure. And that is my main point with this video. Is that I get that you want to die, but I think the moralization, or perhaps I should say immoralization of this, is because you're an atheist. You don't understand that perhaps there is more to life than pain and pleasure, and that your life has a value even though you're reduced, even though you have pain, even though you may be a quote-unquote burden to other people. Your life has purpose and meaning. And if you took that goddamn jewelry off, you may actually understand that. I had friends who are atheists and suffering from depression, and they're not part of my life anymore. I hope to God that they don't kill themselves. I can't stop it now because they're out of my life, but I hope that they understand that although they don't believe there is a God, there still may be some transcendental reason for living. that pain and suffering and whatever you're going through may have a purpose, a deeper level of purpose. And that you should not kill yourself, but try the best you can to live through it. And rely on friends. And that your quote-unquote weakness is actually also kind of your strength. Because if you surround yourself with other people who have experienced the same thing, then you may be so fortunate as to actually experience real connection. But you can't be strong and weak at the same time. You need to recognize your weakness and try to find other people who are, I use the word weak, but at least open and soft. And understand pain and understand what you're going through, and that will actually give you the experience of real human connection. It is through pain real human connection comes, not just by laughing and ridiculing religion. It is by actually saying, I have pain, so do I, let's hug each other out, let's try together to remove the pain. As some Norwegian saying goes, shared happiness is twice the happiness. Shared sadness is half the sadness. It's the connection we get through pain that is so valuable, and he should, instead of advocating to kill yourself, try to reach out to other people. And this parent should be understanding and try to be strong for him and try to find him a reason for living beyond pain. Perhaps giving him a Bible, perhaps giving him some kind of philosophical grounding that was beyond pain, and pleasure is the only thing that defines life. Again, I think this documentary is made by the death cult of atheism. People wanting to romanticize and say that, oh, it's so easy. Abortion is such an easy issue. Euthanasia is such an easy issue because humans equal shit. Bye-bye!
Enjoy and explore the gambling museum. The flight nurse attends me